Well, she was the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
Aw.
She was the most intelligent woman I've ever seen.
Uh-huh.
She was the most gracious person I've ever known. And I was very fortunate. Because she gave me 3 boys. And they're none of them bad. All of them pretty good stuff. Following after their mother.
Aw.
She worked for my boss, and she prepared the material that I worked on.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked together for several years, very closely.
Where?
Well, the professor at the university that said, I want you to take this material now that you've worked, and you take it to Olga and have her go through to be sure that the English is exactly right. So I looked up Olga and we got together and we first of a number of things. I think there are 30-some papers that we edited. Yes, Galtech. Yeah, we both were at Galtech. Well, I told her we went on a trip to San Diego, and I said, Olga, I am planning to take my vacation in Hawaii. I'm going to give you an option. If you would prefer to get married, we'll do that. Said,
So romantic.
huh?
Very romantic.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was very formalized.
Were you
We
married?
were married in '55, and then she died in 2008.
Uh-huh. Wow. It's over 50 years.
It was a long time.
Yeah. Over.
But she changed the world where she was. She had children's programs there. She had something for these. They didn't waste their time. She took it. They turned out smarter than most other kids.
I think so.
We went up to Mount Wilson,
Oh, wow.
and then we came back down, and it was kind of scary.
Why?
Well, I can't remember what happened. I kept worried about it. Get down there was not a good thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't go back. It wasn't long. We knew who we were.
Uh-huh.
Raised in Iowa City. She graduated when I was at high school, and then she graduated from the University of Iowa in home economics. And then she worked for the War Department in Washington during the war. And then she became a housewife in Oklahoma when my father was a high school teacher. And then when the Depression came, she and my father moved to my grandmother's farm in Iowa. And she was a farmer's wife. And she did work with my father and Vice President Henry Wallace. And after my father died, they asked if my mother, she wouldn't be a representative from Iowa. And she said she declined that honor, but she felt very strongly about politics.
What about your father?
But
What about your father, Edward Uriah?
well, he was born in Johnson County, Iowa, just as was my mother. And when he was 7, his parents moved to Oklahoma in the great land rush down there. And they lived in town in Cushing, and my grandfather ran a livery. We rented out horses to haul drill pipe to the oil fields. And then when the Big Depression came, that all collapsed. And my father moved my mother to my grandmother's farm back in Iowa. And he was a farmer, and he was active in the Farm Bureau. And he gathered a lot of membership and had officers and that sort of thing. He was he was elected attorney. He assessor is what he went around and assessed all the properties, and this made him unpopular. But it made him very popular with Henry Wallace. And so my father was in charge of the rural electrification program in Johnson County and Muscatine County. And he worked with another engineer, and they laid out all the power lines for all the electric lines in those two counties. And then my father designed and built the power station in Muscatine that provided all the electricity. And then he suddenly died.
What did he die from? How did he die?
It was a infection, something like, I can't remember. It was one of these infections you get and that just die right there.
It was very quick.
Yes.
Best memories.
Well, we went to Europe and we traveled all over.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to Mexico. We went to Canada. We went to New England. We traveled a lot. We took the kids to Mexico and Canada and New England. And we didn't take them to it. No, we didn't take them to Europe. I nome nostro coricione, suade, possibi curvam.
What is that from?
You can't remember that.
I can't remember that.
What poem is that?
What did you just say?
Huh?
What did you just say?
Ulugamoya Dubilandi. That's on the by the big oak tree by the ocean. There's a cat that lives in the tree, and he runs one way and they went the other way. And then there's a mermaid that lives in the tree, and then he has a whole. There's stories. It's a story in Russian by Alexander Pushkin.
Okay, all right. I'm impressed.
I think
How
I'm
many
impressed.
people do you know that can remember Alexander Pushkin?
Not many.
Not many, especially
Okay,
people that are.
Dad, you got me on
What?
that. High five.
Great job.
Give me a high five. Good job, Dad. Okay. Having any problems with your memory?
No.
Any problems understanding people?
Why?
Are you having any problems with formulating thoughts and thinking? Anything abnormal?
No.
Okay. What are the major obstacles you're facing?
Right.
What are the major obstacles you're having in your life right now?
The major obstacle is that I get sleepy and sleep most of the day.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else?
No,
Are you having any other problems?
not really.
Okay. Are you having any problem with your brain? No brain problems? Look at the camera. Look at the camera. Are you having any brain problems? Are you having any brain problems? No? Okay. All right, turn it off. Okay.
No man, to narrow and degrade my soul by making me hate him.
And who wrote that?
Huh?
Who wrote that?
Booker T. Washington.
Now, what do you know about Booker T. Washington? What do you know about Booker T. Washington?
What did I know?
What do you know about Booker T. Washington?
Well, I read his book, Up from Slavery.
Okay. And you said he was a friend of who?
A friend of your grandfather.
How did he become a friend of my grandfather?
Well, your grandfather had read his book,
Okay.
and then he met him on the street in New York one day, and he thanked him for the book. And Booker T. Washington gave your grandfather a book. And your grandfather then bought another one, and he sent the two of them to the King and Queen of Denmark. And as a result of this, the King and Queen of Denmark sent 2 invitations to live in the royal palace in Copenhagen.
Okay. And so he and Booker T. Washington.
Yes.
So my grandfather and Booker T. Washington were friends.
He was a friend of Booker T. Washington.
Okay. That's it.
Your grandfather was a good soul. He made a better world.
That's very sweet, Dad.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
See, you want to do something like that.
Yeah.
Think of what's being wrong that we can right.
I will do that, Daddy. Because you always set an amazing example for me.
Your grandfather is your example, yes.
No, you.
Yes.
You always set such a great example. Because you're always very
He's
fair.
a wonderful example for you to live by.
Okay.